In this video, I'm gonna show you how I made the highly detailed chess pieces for my Wizard chess project. Let's get started. I started by sculpting all the models. You can just skip past this part, or if you want to skip to any specific piece, here are all the times. Before I begin explaining, you should probably start from the beginning and watch the trailer for this series if you haven't already. I'm not going to explain any of this because, as I said, you can just skip past it if you want to, and there's just not much to say. So, after all of that was done, I printed all the pieces at max detail. I also printed all of them in 2 parts. In total it took about 35.5 hours to print, not counting all the failed attempts of course. The first thing to do, as you might have guessed, is glue them together. I used epoxy for this and only used a very thin layer on each of the pieces. As you can see here, there are in some places still gaps clearly visible. So I put on my mask and used my soldering iron at 200 degrees Celsius to try and melt the gaps together. Once that was done, it still had to look like stone. So to make the painting easier, I glued all the pieces to bottle caps and then went outside to start applying the primer. I put on my mask and gloves and started covering the piece with primer. Make sure to get primer made for miniatures, because otherwise it will be too thick and cover up all the details. Apart from some changes to make clear black and white pieces, I used this video to get it to look like stone. It's a really good video, so make sure you watch it if you want to do this yourself. First I applied Mechanicus Standard Grey. I put a very small amount on my brush and then tapped the brush almost completely dry on the paper before tapping the brush lightly on the pond. I did this several times until the piece was almost completely covered. Then I did the exact same with the Ophiuan Grey, except that if this was a black piece, I'd use Celestra Grey. I mixed a 1:1 ratio of water and Nuln oil. Then I covered the whole pond with a small layer of the mix. Finally, I put some long beard gray on the brush, almost completely brushed it off on the paper, and then quickly went over all the edges of the pond. I hope you liked the video. If you did, like and consider subscribing, I'd really appreciate it.